Guys, I would like to tell you about a romantic story between three African countries. They are based in East Africa, that is Uganda, Kenya and Tanzania. But before I can tell you about their love story, I need to tell you their history, because you need to know your history to understand where it is that you're going. Now, I'd like to pull your attention to the War of Territories. This one happened between the former president of Uganda, that is Idi Amin Dada, and the former president of Tanzania, Julius Nyerere. Idi Amin had organized a successful coup d'etat against the president of Uganda at that time, Milton Obote. So he had overthrown him. And he happened to be very good friends with the Tanzanian president, Julius Nyerere. And Idi Amin kept accusing Julius Nyerere of hosting Ugandan rebels in his country. And this really rubbed Idi Amin the wrong way. And he decided to do something about it. So in 1978, the Ugandan army started making its way into Tanzania, and later on that month, they launched an invasion and they destroyed a lot of property. A lot of men, women, children, sheep, cows, goats, snakes were killed. I mean, you can name it. People were destroyed. And meanwhile, while all that was happening, the Ugandan state media at that time announced that Uganda had annexed a very fertile land in Tanzania called Kagera region. It was now part of Ugandan territory, not Tanzanian anymore, but Ugandan. And when the president of Tanzania, Julius Nyerere, heard of this didn't sit well with him at all. I mean, how dare Idi Amin invade his country and then claim his land as his own? I mean, how dare him? The audacity of Idi Amin Dada was just, I'm telling you, Julius Nyerere, his head went red hot with anger. He was out for blood. He was out for vengeance. So he decided to mobilize. He mobilized the Tanzanian People Defense Force and made their way into Uganda. Because he had one goal to cripple Idi Amin Dada and destroy his government, destroy his army. Julius Nyerere was no man to be messed with at that time. Imagine someone comes to your land, imagine someone comes to your country and invades it and says, part of this, your land is now part of mine. Imagine. So Julius Nyerere did not stop there. He mobilized more troops. This time he partnered with the rebels of Uganda who were loyal to the former president Milton Obote, and also the rebels organized by the current president of Uganda, President Museveni. He mobilized all of them and they made their way into Uganda ready for blood. It was going to be a bloodshed. They were no jokes. Nyerere was coming for Idi Amin and he wanted Kagera region back. So he mobilized every weapon in his arsenal, AK-47s, grenades, Russian roulette, snipers, you name it. He was ready for war, because war was going to happen in Uganda. Vengeance was going to take place. He was going to get what he had set himself to get. And meanwhile, while all this was happening, when threats were being made and talks were being made in the background, Idi Amin Dada was no man to be messed with. He was no man to be easily intimidated. He was a veteran when it came to these issues to deal with war. See, Idi Amin refused. When I say refused, I mean Idi Amin Dada, the former president of Uganda, refused to renounce Kagera region. How could he? Kagera was not part of Ugandan territory. So how can he then say, oh, you know what, I annexed this region, and since you're coming full force, no, I am taking it back, no, take it back. How? His pride, even if he wanted to, couldn't allow him to. Kagera was not part of Uganda. It was on Ugandan soil. It was Ugandan territory. And when that happened, the Tanzanian People's Defense Force made their way into Uganda and occupied some part of Uganda, the southern part of Uganda. They camped there ready to make their way into the capital city, Kampala, in order to launch their invasion. But guess what? This is where it gets interesting. Before they could even make their way to Kampala, a new player was introduced on the field. And he was the president of Libya, Muammar Gaddafi. He was an ally to Idi Amin Dada. And Idi Amin also had more allies who came to his rescue. The Palestinians. They also sent their troops. Gaddafi also sent his troops. Many troops were deployed in Uganda to fight for Idi Amin Dada, to defeat the president of Tanzania, Julius Nyerere. However, looks like the gods weren't really on the side of Idi Amin Dada or Muammar Gaddafi or the Palestinians, because much to everyone's surprise, Julius Nyerere's army of Tanzania's People's Defense Force, together with the Ugandan rebels, were able to defeat the combined army of Uganda, Libya, and Palestine. They defeated them. When they defeated them, later on that month, Libya had to withdraw its remaining troops, and out they went out of Uganda, leaving Idi Amin Dada exposed. So he ran for his dear life. He ran into exile. And then Tanzania People's Defense Force, together with Uganda National Liberation Front, and then they secured Kampala, making sure they had driven out Idi Amin Dada and his army. So Uganda and Kampala was no longer for Amin, because Amin had been driven out, off into exile. So it can be said that someone's greed can be the reason for their downfall. Idi Amin's greed for wanting to expand Uganda by invading his neighbors led to his downfall, because he underestimated his enemy. He just underestimated it. And that's the thing. You never know. You never know the cards that your enemy is holding. And because of this, so many lives were lost in Uganda, in Tanzania. Many Libyans, Palestinians died, all because of one man's greed. And it still plays out to this very day. When it comes to foreign politics, when it comes to greed, when it comes to invading countries, it's still happening to this very day. I don't even need to mention the wars that are currently happening. You know them. And this is how they play out. But it starts by one man having a very big dream and doesn't care about the lives of the people that will be lost. Sadly, that's the reality of life. But as you can see from this very scenario, I know I'm telling it sounds like a story, like something made up, but it happened. It happened in 1978. It did happen. And like I said at the beginning of the video, I want to explain the romance between three African countries based in East Africa: Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania. And before I can tell you what's currently happening within these three countries, you need to know their history. And if you've liked this video, please do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe to this channel to get updated when new videos like this are uploaded, because I'll be doing a part 2 of how Uganda and Kenya almost went into a war because of territories still. All right guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.